Ryan Cole pressed his face against the transport window and watched Station Forge grow larger. The massive military academy floated in space like a giant metal flower, with dozens of docking arms reaching outward. Ships from 100 different worlds arrived and departed constantly. Ryan had never seen anything so enormous in his entire life. The transport shuddered as it connected to a docking arm. Ryan grabbed his single bag and followed the other passengers toward the exit. His hands felt sweaty. Earth had prepared him as best they could, but nothing could truly prepare someone for this moment. He was the first human to attend the Galactic Military Academy in over 800 years. The docking bay buzzed with activity. Hundreds of alien species moved through the crowds. Some walked on 2 legs like Ryan. Others crawled on 6 limbs or floated using technology Ryan did not understand. A few were so strange that Ryan could not tell which end was the front. Near the registration area, a group of cadets noticed Ryan approaching. They stopped talking and stared. Ryan kept walking, trying to look confident. A massive creature stepped into his path. It stood nearly 3 meters tall with gray stone-like skin and arms as thick as tree trunks. 4 yellow eyes studied Ryan with obvious amusement. "Look what we have here," the giant said in a deep rumbling voice. "A new species. What are you supposed to be, soft skin?" Other cadets gathered around. An insect-like being with green chitinous armor clicked its mandibles in what might have been laughter. A creature made of living crystal hummed with a sound that hurt Ryan's ears. "I am human," Ryan said, keeping his voice steady. "From Earth." "Earth?" The giant laughed. "Never heard of it. You look weak." "How much can you lift?" "About twice my body weight," Ryan answered honestly. The giant roared with laughter. "I can lift 20 times mine. You will not last 1 week here, soft skin. Go home before you get hurt." The insect creature circled Ryan, examining him from every angle. No armor plating, no natural weapons, thin skin that tears easily. Why would such a fragile species even try to join the academy? Ryan wanted to respond, but he bit his tongue. Getting into an argument on his first day would be stupid. He pushed past the group and continued toward registration. The registration desk was automated. Ryan placed his hand on the scanner and waited. A holographic form appeared asking for basic information. He answered each question carefully, then something changed. The scanner's light turned from blue to bright red. A loud alarm blared through the area. Everyone nearby turned to look. Words appeared on the holographic screen in large letters. Earth origin, danger, Death World classification. Duxulf advanced threat protocols engaged. The automated system's voice spoke clearly. "Warning! Species from quarantined world detected. Security alert level elevated. Monitoring systems activated." Ryan felt his stomach drop. He knew Earth had been isolated for centuries, but he did not expect this kind of reaction. Every cadet in the area was now staring at him with new interest. Some looked curious. Others looked worried. An older alien approached the desk. She had purple skin and 6 thin arms, with wise silver eyes that had seen many years. Her uniform marked her as Cadet Master Yenna, one of the senior instructors. "What is happening here?" she demanded. The scanner detected a human. The automated voice replied. "Ancient protocols require immediate flagging and observation." Yenna studied the screen, then looked at Ryan. Her expression was unreadable. "These protocols are 800 years old. Outdated remnants from first contact." She typed something into the system. "I am overriding the alert level. Process this cadet normally." "Override accepted," the system said. "However, observation protocols will remain active per Galactic Concord regulations." The alarm stopped. The red light faded, but Ryan noticed small camera drones had moved closer to him. The Academy's artificial intelligence was now watching his every move. Yenna handed Ryan a data chip. "Your room assignment and schedule. You have been placed in Squad 7. Report to Barracks Level 14, Section C." "Thank you, Cadet Master," Ryan said. Yenna leaned closer and lowered her voice. "I do not know what those old warnings mean, human, but I suggest you keep your head down and work hard. Many here will not be friendly to you." Ryan nodded and took the chip. As he walked toward the lift that would carry him to the barracks, he heard the whispers following him. The giant from before, whose name tag read Drog, called out one more time. "Squad 7. They put you with the failures and rejects. Perfect place for a primitive species." More laughter followed. Ryan kept walking and did not look back. His jaw was tight and his hands gripped his bag until his knuckles turned white. But he would not give them the satisfaction of seeing him angry. The lift doors closed and Ryan finally allowed himself to take a deep breath. Through the transparent walls of the lift, he could see the massive interior of Station Forge stretching in every direction. Training facilities, living quarters, combat arenas, and thousands of cadets from across the galaxy. Ryan had studied the Academy's history during his journey. Only 30% of cadets graduated. The training was brutal, designed to push every species to their absolute limits. Many quit. Some were injured so badly they could never return. But Ryan had not traveled across half the galaxy just to quit on his first day. Earth had chosen him for a reason. Whatever these aliens thought about humans, whatever those ancient warnings meant, Ryan would prove them all wrong. He would show them what a human could do. Squad 7's barracks smelled like a combination of chemicals, sweat, and something Ryan could not identify. 6 bunks lined the walls, each designed for different alien physiologies. Ryan's bunk was standard humanoid configuration, which was fortunate since he did not know how he would sleep in a liquid tank or vertical sleeping pod. His squad mates were already there. None of them looked happy to see him. A reptilian creature with dull brown scales lay on one bunk, not bothering to acknowledge Ryan's arrival. Another cadet who resembled a walking mass of tentacles was organizing equipment in the corner. A small furry being with large ears sat cross-legged on the floor, meditating or sleeping. Ryan could not tell which. "So you are the human," the tentacled alien said without looking up. "The one who triggered every alarm in the station. Wonderful. Just what this squad needed. More attention." Ryan set his bag on the empty bunk. "I did not mean to cause problems." "Of course you did not," the reptilian hissed. "No one ever means to cause problems. Yet Squad 7 has problems constantly. That is why we are Squad 7. We are the cadets who do not fit anywhere else." Before Ryan could respond, a loud tone echoed through the barracks. A holographic announcement appeared in the center of the room. "All squads report to Training Ground 5 in 20 minutes. Physical assessment begins immediately. Attendance is mandatory." The tentacled alien groaned. "Already? We just got our new member. They usually give squads a day to organize. They want to see what the human can do," the reptilian said with a bitter laugh. "Or more likely, they want to watch him fail." 20 minutes later, Squad 7 stood in Training Ground 5 along with 15 other squads. Each squad had 6 members, representing different species and abilities. Ryan noticed Drog standing with Squad 1, the Academy's top-performing unit. The giant alien smiled cruelly when he saw Ryan. Cadet Master Yenna stood on a raised platform overlooking the training ground. Her voice projected clearly across the entire space. "Today's assessment is simple. A 30-kilometer course through varied terrain, running, climbing, swimming, obstacle navigation. Each squad member completes the course individually. Your time is recorded. The 3 slowest squads will receive additional training duties for the next month." Murmurs spread through the gathered cadets. 30 kilometers was a serious distance, especially with obstacles included. "Squad 7 will go first," Yenna announced. Of course they would. Ryan took his position at the starting line alongside his squad mates. The reptilian was named Sykes. The tentacled alien was called Orm. The small furry one answered to Pip. There was also a tall, thin being made of something like living mist named Voss, and a heavily armored beetle creature named Trell. The starting signal blared. Everyone ran. Ryan immediately fell behind. Sykes moved on 4 legs with incredible speed. Orm used his tentacles to propel himself forward like a wheel. Even Pip, despite being small, had powerful legs built for jumping and rapid movement. Voss simply floated forward, ignoring terrain entirely. The first kilometer was flat ground. Ryan pushed hard, but physics worked against him. His human legs could not match the specialized locomotion of species evolved for speed. By the time he reached the climbing section, he was dead last. Not just in his squad, but among all the cadets who had started. The climbing wall was 50 meters of vertical rock face with small handholds. Ryan watched other species scale it with ease. Sykes climbed like a lizard, sticking to the surface with adhesive pads on his feet. Orm wrapped his tentacles around projections and pulled himself up rapidly. Ryan grabbed the first handhold and started climbing the old-fashioned way. His arms burned, His fingers ached, but he kept moving, one hold at a time. He had done rock climbing on Earth during training. This was just higher and harder. When he reached the top, his squad mates were long gone. Other squads were passing their members through. Ryan did not stop to rest. He ran toward the next section. The water obstacle was a lake 2 kilometers across. Ryan dove in and started swimming. His muscles screamed in protest, but he maintained a steady stroke. Several aquatic species passed him like torpedoes. Ryan ignored them and focused on his breathing and rhythm. On and on, the course continued. Through mud pits where Ryan sank to his knees while others glided over the surface. Through a forest, where tree-dwelling species swung from branch to branch while Ryan had to navigate on the ground. Through a rocky canyon where flying species simply soared over while Ryan climbed and scrambled. Hours passed. Ryan's entire body hurt. His lungs felt like they were on fire. His legs moved on pure stubbornness. He lost count of how many cadets passed him. Dozens, maybe hundreds. But he did not stop. Other cadets began returning to the starting area, having completed the course. They collapsed on rest platforms, receiving medical treatment and hydration. Even the strongest species needed recovery time after such a brutal test. Ryan was somewhere around kilometer 25 when he passed the first fallen cadet. A large insectoid had pulled a leg muscle and could not continue. Medics were loading the cadet onto a transport. At kilometer 28, Ryan passed 3 more cadets who had stopped to rest. They stared at him in confusion. How was this weak human still moving? Ryan's mind had gone to a quiet place. He was not thinking about the pain anymore. He was not thinking about the distance remaining. He was just putting one foot in front of the other. This was what humans did. They kept going. When Ryan finally crossed the finish line, the training ground had changed. Most squads were gone, dismissed to their other duties. Only the evaluation staff remained, and they were watching Ryan with expressions of surprise. Cadet Master Yenna approached with a data pad. Cadet Ryan, you finished last in terms of speed. Your time was the slowest recorded today. Ryan nodded, too exhausted to speak. However, Yenna continued, and something in her voice made Ryan look up. You are the only cadet who did not stop. Every other cadet took at least one rest break. Most took several. You completed the entire course without stopping once. Ryan's squad mates were nearby. They had finished hours ago but had stayed to watch. Orm's tentacles curled thoughtfully. Yenna marked something on her data pad. Interesting. Very interesting. She looked at Ryan with new evaluation in her eyes. Get some rest, cadet. Combat training begins tomorrow. As Ryan limped toward the medical station, he heard Sykes speaking quietly to Orm. Did you see his eyes? He was suffering. Every step hurt, but he never even considered stopping. What kind of species does that? Orm replied. Ryan did not have the energy to answer, but somewhere in his exhausted mind, he felt satisfaction. They were starting to wonder, starting to question their assumptions. That was enough for now. The combat training dome was a massive sphere filled with various terrain types. Sand pits blended into rocky outcrops. Water pools sat next to elevated platforms. The floor could change configuration based on what kind of environment instructors wanted to simulate. Ryan stood in line with other cadets, waiting for individual combat assessment. His body still ached from yesterday's endurance test, but the medical staff had given him something that helped reduce the muscle pain. Not completely, but enough that he could move without limping. Drog stood a few positions ahead in line, demonstrating combat moves to impress nearby cadets. The giant alien could punch through solid metal. Ryan had watched him bend a support beam like it was soft clay. An instructor called Ryan's name. Instructor Harris was a 4-armed alien with blue skin and a face that showed no emotion. He had been a combat specialist for 40 years before retiring to teach at the academy. Cadet Ryan, you will face opponent number 7, Harris announced. A Chitara warrior stepped into the combat circle. The insect-like alien stood 2 meters tall with gleaming green armor covering its entire body. Its forearms had natural blade edges sharp enough to cut through standard protective gear. 4 smaller arms held defensive positions while its large legs balanced its weight perfectly. The Chitara's name was Shen. Ryan had seen her defeat 3 opponents already this morning, each fight lasting less than 1 minute. Standard combat rules, Harris explained. Fight until submission, incapacitation, or safety override. Lethal techniques are forbidden. Medical staff standing by. Begin when ready. Ryan entered the circle. He wore standard academy training gear, which provided minimal protection but allowed full movement. Shen watched him with multifaceted eyes that saw in directions Ryan could not even imagine. The starting tone sounded. Shen rushed forward with incredible speed. Her blade arms swung in precise arcs designed to overwhelm Ryan's defenses quickly. Ryan had studied Chitara fighting techniques during his journey to the academy. They relied on speed, multiple limbs, and natural weapons to dominate opponents. Ryan dove sideways at the last second, rolling across the sand. Shen's blades cut through empty air. The Chitara spun, expecting Ryan to be running or defending. Instead, Ryan was already moving back toward her, staying low. Shen slashed downward. Ryan twisted, and the blade scraped across his shoulder pad instead of hitting his body. Pain shot through his arm, but Ryan used the momentum to get inside Shen's reach. This was the weakness of blade fighters. Their weapons needed distance to be effective. Ryan grabbed one of Shen's smaller arms and pulled hard, using a judo technique adapted for alien physiology. Shen's balance shifted. Her blades were now facing away from Ryan, unable to reach him without repositioning. Shen tried to use her leg strength to throw Ryan off. She was stronger than him, absolutely, but Ryan was not trying to overpower her. He was trying to control position and leverage. They grappled across the sand. Shen's blade arms swung wildly, trying to cut Ryan. Each time she swung, Ryan moved to a new position, always staying where the blades could not reach. His shoulder bled from the earlier hit, but he ignored the pain. Shen tried to headbutt Ryan with her armored skull. Ryan saw it coming and tucked his head, taking the impact on his forehead instead of his nose. Stars exploded in his vision, but his skull was thicker than Shen expected. The Chitara stunned herself slightly from the impact. Ryan used that moment. He swept Shen's legs while pulling her upper body forward. The Chitara crashed to the ground. Before she could recover, Ryan had positioned himself behind her, one arm wrapped around her neck area, the other controlling both her blade arms. Submission hold. Harris called out, "Shen, do you submit?" Shen struggled for a few more seconds, then clicked her mandibles twice. The Chitara signaled for surrender. Harris signaled for them to separate. Winner, Cadet Ryan. The watching cadets had gone silent. Ryan stood up, breathing hard. His shoulder bled freely now, and his head throbbed from the headbutt. But he had won. Shen rose to her feet and approached Ryan. She studied him with those strange, compound eyes. "You fight with intelligence, human, not strength. I underestimated you." "You are very fast," Ryan replied honestly. "If you had been more cautious, you would have won." Shen clicked her mandibles in what might have been respect. "Perhaps, but you used weakness as strategy. That is unusual." The medical team treated Ryan's shoulder. The cut was not deep, but it would leave a scar. Ryan did not mind. Scars were proof of lessons learned. Over the next few days, combat training continued. Ryan faced different opponents and different fighting styles. He lost more fights than he won. Species with natural armor absorbed his strikes without damage. Species with venom or energy projection could attack from distances Ryan could not match. But Ryan adapted to each opponent. He learned which species had blind spots in their vision. He discovered which aliens had slower reaction times despite greater strength. He found weak points in armor and gaps in defensive techniques. The Academy's combat instructors began reviewing his fights with increased interest. Instructor Harris pulled up footage on his personal terminal, watching Ryan's matches repeatedly. Cadet Master Yenna entered the instructor's office unannounced. "You have been watching the humans' combat assessments for 3 days straight." Harris nodded without looking away from the screen. "His fighting style is unlike anything I have seen. He should lose every fight based on physical ability, yet he wins 40% of matches against species that are objectively superior. How does he do it?" Yenna asked. Harris replayed a section of footage. "Watch here. His opponent is a Gorath like Drog. 3 times his strength, armored skin, superior reach. The Gorath charges, expecting to crush the human quickly. On the screen, Ryan dodged the charge at the last possible moment. The Gorath crashed into a wall. While the alien was stunned, Ryan had climbed onto its back and applied a chokehold to its neck. He uses environment as a weapon, Harris continued. He studies his opponents during the fight and adjusts constantly. Most importantly, he has an extremely high pain tolerance. Look at this match. The footage showed Ryan fighting a creature with electrical discharge abilities. Ryan had been shocked 3 times during the fight, enough electricity to paralyze most species. Ryan had kept fighting, his muscles spasming but his mind still calculating. He eventually won by throwing sand in the creature's sensory organs and landing a submission hold while partially paralyzed. Yenna leaned closer to the screen. That should have incapacitated him. It should have, Harris agreed. But humans apparently have unusual neurological resilience. Their pain signals do not disable cognitive function as quickly as other species. Yenna accessed a classified file on her terminal. I researched Earth after the humans' arrival. The data is 800 years old, but it provides context. She read aloud. Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world. Gravity is 20% higher than galactic standard. Apex predators include the humans themselves, who evolved as persistence hunters. They would chase prey for days until the prey died from exhaustion. Harris stopped the footage and looked at Yenna. Persistence hunters? Their species evolved to never stop, Yenna said quietly. To track prey across enormous distances, to survive injuries that would kill other species, to adapt to any environment. They are not the strongest or fastest, they are the most relentless. On the terminal screen, Ryan stood victorious over another defeated opponent, blood running from multiple wounds, but still standing. Harris spoke carefully. Cadet Master, do you understand what this means? If 1 human can do this, what could 1,000 do? 1,000,000? Yenna closed the classified file. I am beginning to understand why Earth was quarantined. The old records labeled humans as dangerous. I believe that assessment was correct. Should we report this? Harris asked. Yenna considered for a long moment. Not yet. Let us see what else this human can do. The transport ship descended through thick clouds toward the surface of Training Moon Delta. Ryan pressed against the window, watching jagged mountains and dense forests appear below. Delta was specifically maintained as a hostile environment for survival training. Dangerous predators, poisonous plants, and extreme weather made it perfect for testing cadets under real pressure. Squad 7 sat in uncomfortable silence. Tensions had been building for weeks. Despite Ryan's combat performances, several squad members still doubted his value. Trell, the armored beetle creature, had openly questioned why Squad 7 was stuck with a human. We could have any cadet in the academy, Trell had complained yesterday. Instead, we get the Death Worlder who barely passes physical requirements. Sykes had defended Ryan, pointing out his endurance and tactical thinking. But the division in Squad 7 was obvious. The transport touched down in a clearing. Instructor Harris appeared on their communication screens. Survival exercise begins now. You have 7 days to retrieve 5 beacons scattered across a 200-kilometer area. Work together or fail separately. All squad communications are monitored but not assisted. Medical evacuation available only for life-threatening emergencies. Good luck. The transport lifted off immediately, leaving Squad 7 alone in the wilderness. Orm extended his tentacles, testing the air. High humidity. Local fauna sounds indicate predators nearby. We should establish a base camp before nightfall. I can scout from above, Voss offered, his misty form rising slightly. My species can see thermal signatures. Good, Sykes said, taking charge. Trell and I will set up defensive perimeter. Pip, you gather food and water. Ryan, you... Sykes paused, realizing he did not know what tasks humans were suited for. Ryan was already examining the supplied equipment pack. Standard survival gear, but cheaply made. Some items were damaged or low quality. This equipment is inadequate. The shelter material has holes. The water filter is cracked. The emergency beacon only has half charge. Of course it is inadequate, Trell said bitterly. We are Squad 7. We get the leftover equipment that better squads rejected. Ryan started pulling items from the pack and laying them on the ground. His hands moved quickly, sorting and categorizing. We can work with this. Give me 30 minutes. The others watched skeptically as Ryan began modifying equipment. He used wire from the broken beacon to repair the water filter. He patched shelter material with adhesive from the medical kit. He dismantled 2 damaged tools and combined their working parts into one functional unit. Pip hopped closer, her large ears twitching with curiosity. You are good with tools. Where did you learn this? Earth, Ryan said simply. Humans have been making tools for thousands of years. We adapt technology when we do not have ideal resources. By nightfall, Squad 7 had established a functional camp. Ryan had created a water collection system using salvaged materials. He had started a fire using friction and dry moss. He had even constructed simple spears from straight branches and sharpened stones. Spears. Trell laughed. What are we, primitives? Weapons that work without power cells or ammunition, Ryan replied. If our energy weapons fail, these will still function. That first night, nothing attacked. Squad 7 rotated watch shifts and everyone slept poorly on the hard ground. Ryan took the late-night watch, sitting by the fire and listening to the forest sounds. Orm joined him during the last hour before dawn. The tentacled alien had been quiet since their arrival. I owe you an apology, Ryan, Orm said quietly. I judged your species without knowledge. I see now that humans have valuable skills. We all have valuable skills, Ryan replied. That is the point of having different species work together. The second day involved searching for beacons. Voss scouted ahead and located the first beacon on a cliff face. Sykes climbed up and retrieved it easily. The squad's morale improved with the quick success. The third day was harder. They had to cross a river with strong current. Pip nearly drowned before Orm caught her with his tentacles. Everyone was exhausted and tempers flared. Trell and Sykes argued about which direction to search next. Ryan studied the map coordinates and the terrain. The beacons are positioned in a pattern. If we head northeast, we should find 2 more within 10 kilometers of each other. How can you know that? Trell demanded. Because the Academy wants to test both navigation and efficiency, Ryan explained. They would not place beacons randomly. They create puzzles. Trell did not like being told what to do by a human, but he could not argue with Ryan's logic. Squad 7 went northeast and found both beacons exactly where Ryan predicted. On the 4th night, everything changed. Ryan was on watch when he heard movement in the forest. Not the usual sounds of small creatures. Something big. Multiple somethings. He woke the squad quietly. We have company. Large predators. At least 6 of them. Circling our position. How do you know? Voss whispered, I can hear them. And smell them. Ryan pointed to his improvised spears. Everyone take one. Stay close to the fire. Predators usually avoid fire. Usually? Pip's voice shook with fear. Yellow eyes appeared in the darkness beyond the firelight. Then more eyes. The creatures were massive. 4-legged animals with armored heads and tails that ended in sharp spikes. Pack hunters, Trell activated his energy rifle. I will shoot them. Wait, Ryan said. Energy weapons will attract more predators from the noise and light. Let me try something first. Before anyone could argue, Ryan grabbed a burning branch from the fire and charged toward the nearest predator. He screamed at the top of his lungs, waving the fire wildly. The predator backed away, confused. Ryan did not stop. He advanced aggressively, making himself seem bigger and more dangerous than he actually was. The rest of Squad 7 stared in shock. Ryan was smaller than these predators. He had no natural armor or weapons. He was soft and fragile, yet he was charging at them with nothing but fire and noise. The predators retreated a few steps, then circled wider. They were testing this strange prey. Ryan planted the burning branch in the ground and grabbed 2 of his spears. He threw the first spear with practiced accuracy. The weapon flew straight and struck one predator in the shoulder. Not a killing blow, but painful enough to make the creature yelp and stumble. The second spear hit another predator in the leg. Now the pack was confused and hurt. Their ambush had failed. Throw rocks, Ryan shouted. Make noise. Humans survived worse predators than this. Sykes understood first. He grabbed stones and threw them at the predators, hissing loudly. Orm whipped his tentacles around, creating intimidating movements. Even Pip found her courage and made high-pitched warning calls that hurt the predators' ears. The pack decided this prey was too much trouble. They retreated into the forest, leaving Squad 7 alone. Trell lowered his rifle slowly. You are insane, human. Completely insane. Ryan pulled his spears from the ground and inspected them for damage. Not insane. Just experienced. Earth has predators that could eat all of us. Humans learned to fight back. The rest of the night passed without incident. In the morning, Squad 7 looked at Ryan with new respect. Even Trell was quiet and thoughtful. They found the remaining beacons over the next 2 days. When the transport returned on day 7, Squad 7 had all 5 beacons plus a bonus objective they had discovered. They had also helped rescue Squad 3, who had gotten trapped by a flash flood. As they boarded the transport, Instructor Harris reviewed their performance. Squad 7 performed exceptionally. All objectives completed ahead of schedule. Bonus objective achieved. 0 casualties. Assistance provided to another squad. Harris looked directly at Ryan. Leadership analysis shows Cadet Ryan's tactical decisions resulted in mission success. Well done. Drog and Squad 1 boarded the transport next. They had completed their objectives but looked exhausted and beaten. Drog had bandages on his arms from predator attacks. The giant alien stared at Ryan. I heard what you did. Charging at predators with burning sticks. That is the action of a fool or a warrior. I have not decided which. Ryan met his gaze calmly. Maybe both. For the first time, Drog did not laugh or mock. He simply nodded with something that might have been respect. 3 members of the Galactic Concord High Council arrived at Station Forge without warning. Their ship docked at the private diplomatic berth, away from cadet areas. Station Commander Alice received them in her office, a circular room with windows overlooking the training facilities below. The council members represented 3 of the most powerful species in the galaxy. Council member Thon was a luminari, his crystalline body reflecting light in rainbow patterns. Council member Hess belonged to the Mindari, floating in a containment field that protected others from her intense telepathic presence. Council member Braun was a Gorath elder, even larger than Drog, with skin that had turned almost black with age. Commander Alice, Thon spoke with a voice like wind chimes. We are here regarding the human cadet. Alice had been expecting this visit. Ryan's performance had attracted attention across the entire academy and beyond. Cadet Ryan has performed admirably. He ranks in the top 20% of his class. That is precisely the problem, Hess said, her telepathic voice appearing directly in everyone's minds. A species that was quarantined for being too dangerous is now excelling in military training. Braun leaned forward in his reinforced chair. We have reviewed Earth's historical files. The complete files, not the edited summaries available to Academy staff. Commander Alice felt tension building in her chest. What do the complete files say? Thon activated a holographic display. Ancient text and images appeared, showing Earth during first contact 800 years ago. When the Galactic Concord discovered Earth, humans were divided into hundreds of nations, Thon explained. They were fighting among themselves with nuclear weapons and biological warfare. A species barely capable of space travel, yet already destroying their own planet. Many species go through violent phases, Alice argued. That is not unusual. The violence was not what concerned us, Hess said. It was their capability for rapid adaptation. Within 50 years of first contact, humans had reverse-engineered our technology. Within 70 years, they had improved upon it. Within 100 years, human innovations were surpassing species that had been spacefaring for thousands of years. The hologram changed to show human military installations, research facilities, and expanding colonies. Everything moved at an accelerating pace that made other species look stagnant by comparison. Humans were not content with their place in the galaxy, Braun said. They wanted more. More territory, more resources, more influence, and they had the intelligence and determination to take it. So the Concord quarantined Earth, Alice said slowly, understanding now, not because humans were violent, because they were competition. We call it quarantine, Thon said carefully. But yes, it was containment. Earth was offered a choice. Remain isolated voluntarily, or face military action from the combined forces of the conquered. Earth chose isolation. For 800 years, Earth has stayed within their solar system, Hess continued. We monitored them from a distance. They continued advancing, continued growing, continued becoming more dangerous. And now one of them is here, in our most prestigious military academy, learning our combat techniques and strategic doctrines. Commander Alice stood and walked to the window. Below, she could see cadets training in various facilities. Ryan was down there somewhere, probably working harder than anyone else. What do you want me to do? Alice asked. Expel him? He has earned his place through legitimate merit. We want you to understand the stakes, Braun said seriously. If this human graduate returns to Earth and shares what he has learned, the balance of power shifts. Other humans will follow. They will integrate into conquered militaries, into governments, into positions of influence. And within 2 generations, Thon added, humans will dominate the galactic concord. Not through war, but through simple competence. They will be better soldiers, better strategists, better leaders. Our species will become secondary in our own government. Alice turned back to face the council. You are afraid. Yes, Hess admitted bluntly. We are terrified. We have maintained galactic peace for thousands of years by keeping species balanced. No single species becomes too powerful. No single species threatens the stability. Humans threaten everything. So you quarantine them based on fear, Alice said, her voice hardening. Not evidence of wrongdoing. Not crimes committed. Just fear of what they might become. Fear is a valid response to danger, Braun rumbled. We have a responsibility to billions of citizens across the galaxy. We cannot risk destabilization. Then why come to me? Alice demanded. If the council is so concerned, remove the human officially. Issue a decree. Ban Earth from the conquered permanently. The 3 council members exchanged glances. Thon spoke carefully. The political situation is complicated. Some council members support integration. Others support continued quarantine. We are deadlocked. We cannot act officially without majority support. So you want me to act unofficially? Alice said coldly. You want an accident? You want the human to fail or disappear so Earth remains isolated, and you can maintain your comfortable power structure. We want you to understand reality, Hess said. Whatever decision you make will have consequences that ripple across the galaxy for centuries. After the council members left, Alice sat alone in her office for a long time. She accessed Ryan's complete record, every test, every combat assessment, every instructor evaluation. The pattern was undeniable. Ryan was exceptional not because of superior physical abilities, but because of how he thought, how he adapted, how he refused to give up. Instructor Harris entered without knocking. Commander, I heard the council was here. They want the human gone, Alice said bluntly. They are afraid of what Earth represents. Harris was quiet for a moment. What are you going to do? I am going to think very carefully about what kind of galaxy I want to live in, Alice replied. One where species are judged by merit and character, or one where species are controlled through fear and suppression. The council has significant resources, Harris warned. If they want the human removed and you refuse to cooperate, they will find another way. Alice pulled up the Academy's schedule. The advanced combat exercise is scheduled for next week. Live weapons, real danger, monitored but not controlled. You think they will sabotage the exercise? Harris asked. I think accidents happen during dangerous training all the time, Alice said. And I think the council would view such an accident as convenient. We need to warn Ryan. No. Alice shook her head firmly. If we warn him, we tip our hand. The council will adjust their plans. We need to catch them in the act. That puts Ryan in serious danger. He has been in danger since the moment he arrived, Alice said. The difference is now we know about it. Assign your best safety monitors to the exercise. Watch everything. If anyone tries to sabotage Ryan's equipment or situation, I want evidence. Harris nodded and turned to leave, then paused. Commander, why are you protecting him? It would be easier to let the council have what they want. Alice looked at the training facilities below. Because they are right about one thing. Humans will change the galaxy. The question is whether that change comes through opportunity and cooperation, or through resentment and eventual conflict. If we treat humans as enemies based only on fear, we guarantee they will eventually become enemies. But if we give them a chance to be allies, she trailed off. You are gambling the stability of the Concord on one human cadet, Harris observed. No, Alice corrected. I am gambling that merit and fairness are stronger foundations than fear and control. The Concord claims to judge all species equally. If that claim is hollow, we deserve whatever chaos follows. Harris left to make arrangements. Alice returned to watching the training facilities. Somewhere down there, Ryan was working hard, completely unaware that the fate of his entire species rested on the next week's exercise. The weight of that knowledge pressed on Alice like gravity. She accessed the classified Earth files one more time. The old warning label appeared. Earth origin, danger, Death World classification. 12. Alice added a note to the file. Recommendation: reclassify danger level based on cooperation potential rather than threat assessment. Species that survive impossible odds do not need to be enemies. They need to be respected. Whether anyone would listen to that recommendation remained to be seen. The advanced combat arena was 5 square kilometers of realistic battlefield terrain. Mountains, valleys, urban ruins, and open fields created diverse tactical challenges. Unlike previous exercises, this would use live ammunition and real explosives. Injuries were expected. Deaths were rare but possible. Squad 7 prepared their equipment in the staging area. Ryan checked his rifle, a standard plasma weapon capable of punching through light armor. His protective gear was regulation issue, designed to stop shrapnel and reduce energy weapon damage. Nervous? Sykes asked, adjusting his own armor plates. Always, Ryan admitted. Fear keeps you alert. The exercise briefing appeared on their displays. Squad 7 would defend a position against waves of combat drones, programmed with advanced tactical algorithms. Each wave would increase in difficulty. Survival time and efficiency would determine scoring. Estimated survival time is 30 minutes for average squads, Instructor Harris explained over the communication channel. Elite squads have lasted up to 90 minutes. Squad 7, your objective is to last at least 45 minutes to pass this evaluation. Ryan studied the terrain map. Their defensive position was a ruined building complex with multiple levels and partial cover. Good sight lines but vulnerable to flanking attacks. We should establish firing positions on the upper levels, Trell suggested. Height advantage will let us see approaching drones. Agreed, Ryan said. But we need someone mobile on the ground level to handle close breaches. I will take that position. You? Trell's mandibles clicked skeptically. You are our best tactical thinker. You should be in command position, not front line. Front line is where tactics get tested, Ryan replied. Besides, I am expendable. If something goes wrong, losing me does not cripple the squad's firepower. Pip's ears drooped. Do not talk about being expendable. We are a squad. We all matter. The starting signal blared before Ryan could respond. First wave consisted of 10 basic combat drones, simple targeting algorithms, predictable movement patterns. Squad 7 eliminated them in under 2 minutes without taking casualties. Second wave brought 20 drones with better armor and coordinated movements. Orm took a glancing shot to one tentacle, but remained combat effective. Wave eliminated in 5 minutes. Third wave deployed 30 drones with various weapon types, energy weapons, projectile launchers, and explosive charges. Squad 7's defensive position started taking serious damage. Ryan coordinated their retreat to a more defensible section of the ruins. Then things went wrong. Ryan's rifle stopped working. Not jammed, not overheated, simply dead. He checked the power cell, empty, but that was impossible. The power cell should have lasted for at least 200 more shots. He had only fired 40 times. Ryan, watch your 6, Sykes shouted. Ryan spun around. 3 drones had flanked his position. Without his rifle, he had no long-range defense. He pulled his sidearm, a smaller plasma pistol, and fired. The pistol sparked once and died, also out of power. Ryan threw the useless weapon at the nearest drone, hitting its sensor array. The drone stumbled. Ryan grabbed a piece of metal rebar from the rubble and swung it like a club, smashing into the second drone's leg joint. The machine collapsed. The third drone aimed its weapon at Ryan's chest from 3 meters away, point-blank range. Ryan could not dodge. Voss swept down from above, his misty form enveloping the drone's sensors. Blinded, the drone fired wildly. Ryan closed the distance and drove his rebar through the drone's central processor. Ryan, fall back, Orm called. Your equipment is malfunctioning. Ryan looked at his gear. His shield generator was also offline. Even his communication device was failing, crackling with static. This was not coincidence. This was sabotage. Fourth wave deployed. 50 drones with heavy weapons. We cannot hold this position, Trell stated what everyone was thinking. Recommend retreat to secondary fallback point. Negative, Ryan said, his mind racing through calculations. If we retreat now, we will be cut off. The drones will surround us in open terrain. Then what do we do? Pip asked, fear clear in her voice. Ryan looked at the damaged building around them, at the rubble and broken machinery, at the terrain that the drones would have to cross to reach them. A plan formed in his mind. Desperate but possible. We make the terrain work for us, Ryan said. Trell, use your heavy weapon to collapse that support pillar. Create a choke point. Sykes, fall back to overwatch position on the eastern ridge. Orm, set up a crossfire from the opposite angle. Voss, I need you to create visual confusion. Pip, stay with Trell and watch our flanks. What will you do? Orm asked. I will be bait. Ryan said, grabbing more pieces of metal rebar. And I will show you what humans did before we had energy weapons. Ryan moved to the center of the choke point Trell was creating. The drones advanced in a coordinated formation. Professional, efficient, programmed. To expect opponents with ranged weapons and defensive positions, they were not programmed to expect what Ryan did next. Ryan started throwing metal, pieces with precise accuracy. He had practiced throwing for thousands of hours on Earth. Spears, rocks, anything that could be thrown. The human shoulder, evolved specifically for throwing, could generate tremendous force. A piece of rebar flew 40 meters and penetrated a drone's optical sensor. Another throw destroyed a weapon mounting. A third throw hit a drone's central balance gyroscope, sending it stumbling into its squad mates. The drones tried to shoot Ryan, but he was constantly moving, using rubble as cover, timing his exposure to milliseconds. And every time he appeared, he threw something: a rock, a piece of metal, a broken piece of machinery. Sykes and Orm fired from their positions, eliminating drones that Ryan had damaged or distracted. Voss created false images that drew drone fire away from real targets. Trell's heavy weapon punched through multiple drones with each shot, but there were too many. Wave 5 deployed before Wave 4 was completely eliminated. 75 drones now, and Squad 7 was running low on ammunition. Ryan's arm ached from throwing. His legs burned from constant movement. He had taken 3 hits, none fatal but painful. His armor was cracked. He was bleeding from multiple lacerations. The drones closed in. Victory seemed impossible. Then Commander Alice's voice cut through every communication channel. Exercise terminated immediately. All drones power down. Medical teams deploy now. The drones froze in place and shut down. Silence fell across the arena. Instructor Harris appeared with security forces. Cadet Ryan, your equipment was sabotaged. Someone replaced your power cells with defective units designed to fail after minimal use. We have video evidence of the tampering. Ryan collapsed against a piece of rubble, exhausted beyond measure. Who? That is being investigated, Commander Alice said, appearing on the communication screen. But I have a strong suspicion. More importantly, what I just witnessed was the most remarkable combat performance in Academy history. You survived 25 minutes with no functional equipment against overwhelming odds. Your squad held position when retreat was the logical choice. Squad 7, you have exceeded every expectation. Drog approached from the observation area. The giant Gorath looked at Ryan with something that might have been awe. I watched the entire fight, Drog said slowly. You were throwing rocks and metal like a primitive savage. It should have been pathetic, but it was terrifying. You never stopped, never hesitated. You fought with broken weapons like it was natural. Ryan managed a tired smile. Humans fought with rocks and spears for thousands of years before energy weapons. Old skills still have value. Over the next 3 days, the investigation revealed everything. Councilmember Braun had bribed a maintenance worker to sabotage Ryan's equipment. The plan was simple. Ryan would die in a training accident. Earth would remain quarantined. The power balance would remain unchanged. But the plan had failed because no one had anticipated human adaptability. The Galactic Concord High Council held an emergency session. Commander Alice presented her findings and her arguments. The debate lasted for hours. Finally, a vote was called. Earth's quarantine was officially lifted. Humans would be offered full membership in the Galactic Concord. The decision passed by a narrow margin, with many council members still voting against integration. Ryan graduated from the academy ranked 7th in his class overall. Squad 7 graduated as one of the top-performing squads. A remarkable achievement for a unit that had started as rejects and failures. On graduation day, Ryan stood in formation with hundreds of other cadets, species from across the galaxy, all wearing the same uniform, all having earned the right to be there. Commander Alice presented Ryan with his officer commission personally. Cadet Ryan Cole, you have demonstrated exceptional skill, courage, and determination. You have also proven that species should be judged by their actions, not by fear of their potential. Welcome to the Galactic Concord Defense Force, Lieutenant Cole. Ryan saluted. Thank you, Commander. I will serve with honor. As the ceremony concluded, Ryan noticed new human cadets arriving at the docking bay. Earth had sent 50 more candidates for the next Academy class. The galaxy was changing, whether the old powers liked it or not. Drog approached one final time. So, human, your species is no longer quarantined. What will you do now? Ryan looked at the new arrivals. Young humans ready to prove themselves just as he had done. We will show the galaxy what humanity can contribute. Not through conquest or domination. Through cooperation and excellence. The danger warning still appears when humans register, Drog observed. The scanner still says Earth origin is dangerous. Good, Ryan said with a slight smile. Let it serve as a reminder. Humans are dangerous when underestimated, dangerous when cornered, dangerous when challenged. But we are also loyal allies, innovative thinkers, and we never give up. The galaxy will learn to see danger differently. Drog extended his massive hand. Ryan shook it, neither flinching at the other's strength. I think, Drog said thoughtfully, that the galaxy is not ready for what humanity will become. But perhaps that is exactly what we need, something to shake us from complacency. Ryan watched the new human cadets disembark, their eyes wide with wonder and determination. The same look he had worn months ago when he first arrived. The scanner would always warn about Earth origin, but the meaning of that warning had changed. No longer a reason for fear and isolation. Now it was a recognition of capability, resilience, and potential. Humanity had arrived in the galaxy, and the galaxy would never be the same.